like to know if you know something about Ilia Topuria's health, that he's going to the hospital, if you know something about him.
Yeah.
And if you have any plan for him on the future in the company when he recovers, of course.
What was the rest of that question?
After the health question, any plans for Ilia in the future after tonight?
Yeah. Yeah, Ilia's in the hospital. He's busted up. You know, I'm not a doctor, but his eye looked like he probably has broken orbital. I don't know that's not a fact, but I'm just assuming. And my plans for him are to go home and rest and recover and take his time. And you know, tonight was a rough night for him. I just want to make sure he's healthy and good and not even thinking about him fighting again. Just want him to go home and relax.
And Ilia, I told you, pride comes before the fall. He was too cocky. He overlooked his opponent crazy, and he got humbled. And that's simple how it is. I think he's the better fighter than Gaethje, but he decided to let his pride get in before him. He thought he was beating me. He thought he was beating Terrence Crawford. He thought he could fight. I think he even said something about Canelo at one point, that he could maybe box him one day or something like that. I mean, this guy's head was out of this world. I mean, he was going crazy after everybody. And that's what...
The main event was the greatest fight of all time. It literally was the greatest fight of all time. Ilia Topuria, in many people's eyes, is the most skilled of the new generation, and the new generation is the most skilled of all time. And Ilia was like the top of the mountain. And most people thought that he was going to be too much, and he was too much for a while. And he almost took Justin out in the second round. And then Justin rallied. And then Ilia, it looked like he got really damaged in either the first or the second round, and he was having real trouble seeing out of one of his eyes. And then Justin started landing bombs in the third round. Ilia had slowed down quite a bit. It looked like he had really tried to finish Justin in the second. And sometimes when you try to finish a guy, you just hit the gas way too much, and you can't recover in between rounds. And Justin recovered, and Justin started battering Ilia in the third and fourth, and by the end of the fourth round, Ilia
loses to Justin. Dying to know your thoughts.
Justin won. I said, what?
You didn't think he was gonna win?
I couldn't believe, to be honest. But like, Justin, he's a dog. Like, he has a good chin.
Do you feel like he quit?
Of course he did. He likes to say, I'm going there, break his jaw in the first round. But it didn't work. I would like to do same as Justin did, even worse. Guys like me, Islam Makhachev, Khabib Nurmagomedov, these guys, for him is dangerous because he has...
I knew what was going to happen to him.
Ilia, he reminds us of you.
No way, does he? He has the same tattoos, he says the same stuff, does the same movements. I knew what was going to happen to him. Walking forward with the hands down on the opening bell, you're going to get walloped. He's got banged up bad, which caused him to quit. His face will have to heal for sure. His face, I'd say, is smashed up. He's not a full, complete fighter. He's alright, I like him. Maybe.
And, you know, you gave him all the respect in terms of, like, his skill set in there. You know, said probably the second best guy you prepared for outside of Khabib. But now that you're through Ilia, was he as good as you thought he was? Was he better than you thought he was? Just can you talk about what you experienced in there with him?
I mean, he's very good. I mean, my liver still hurts right now. The body shots were crazy. I mean, he was really, really fast. But, you know, when he didn't get the finish at the end of the second round, I think it really took his spirit. And, you know, again, I said it in the press conference leading up. I was like, he really backed himself into a corner saying he's going to be so dominant. And I said it. When we go to the second round, you're going to be like, what the f? When we go to the third round, you're going to be like, what the f? You know, that's what I did tonight.
Did you feel he was broken after he didn't get that finish?
I never felt he was broken because he was so dangerous at the whole time. But in the third round, when I started landing those jabs, when he started finding his back foot, I knew something.
Justin Gaethje has never been a fighter who needs a lengthy build-up when the topic turns to moments that completely shift a fight's direction. His whole career has been shaped by chaos and relentless output, turning nearly every exchange into something that feels like a compact war. His punching power is heavy in a way that's tough to truly grasp until you witness firsthand what it does to an opponent in real time. And at UFC 250, one of those shots landed flush on Ilia Topuria in a manner that went well past the typical damage of a championship-level bout. It wasn't simply a quick knockdown or a highlight reel clip made for social media. Based on the response from people closest to Ilia, this was a genuine injury, a real one. The kind that stays with a fighter long after he leaves the arena. Trailing into the following week, Ilia Topuria isn't a fighter people usually connect with fragility. Since entering the UFC, he's carried himself with a confidence that most competitors need years to cultivate. His performances have consistently backed that up. The way he finished Alexander Volkanovski stands as one of the most flawless executions of a game plan you'll witness in a lightweight championship fight. He entered with a precise strategy, carried it out with technical mastery, and closed the show in a way that instantly cemented him as the benchmark for the entire division. He didn't come across as a fighter still developing his craft. He looked like someone who had already reached the top, which is exactly why the sight of Ilia dealing with a vision issue feels so jarring, not just on a physical level but psychologically as well. His entire story has been constructed around control of distance, control of the moment, control of how others perceive him. So when that control seems to waver, even for a moment, even partially, people notice in a different way. And Aleksandre picked up on that shift. You brothers understand one another. You can sense it in how someone in that position selects his words. When Aleksandre finally addressed the eye situation, it wasn't offhand commentary from someone watching from a distance. He's inside that camp. He's familiar with the condition. He understands exactly what Ilia is capable of doing right now, and what he isn't. And when someone with that level of closeness to the situation decides to speak out publicly, it's usually a sign that the rumors or concerns have grown to a point where staying quiet has become its own kind of risk. Now here's where things get messy from a competitive angle. Gaethje landed that shot, and it carried real consequences. That's not spin or storytelling, that's just what top-tier MMA produces. But the question the combat sports community is now wrestling with is what happens from here, and how much this injury will actually affect Ilia's availability, his camp preparation, and eventually his ability to step in and defend his title, because Ilia isn't some fighter working in the shadows of the sport. He's the face of an entire generation. The UFC has put serious weight behind his rise, and right now, the lightweight division is packed with contenders who have zero interest in patiently waiting around while medical updates trickle in. Gaethje will want his own answers too. He showed up and got the job done. Regardless of how the fight was officially decided to scorecards or stoppage, the fact that one of his punches caused this kind of reaction gives him real leverage in the conversation about what comes next. From a purely technical angle, Gaethje's fighting style was always going to create a unique challenge for Ilia. Not because Ilia can't deal with aggressive, forward-moving fighters, he clearly can, but because Gaethje's mix of constant pressure and hand speed means danger never stays confined to one angle for long. He alternates his attacks, targets the body to open up shots to the head, and he's fully willing to take punishment in order to land his own. Against a fighter like Ilia, who depends heavily on tight distance control and counters with real precision, an opponent who crowds that rhythm and forces continuous adjustment poses a legitimate threat. The area around the eyes becomes especially exposed during exchanges where a fighter is backing up or circling off at the wrong angle. It doesn't take a huge overhand to cause real damage there. Often it's the short, tight shot thrown from an angle you don't expect that ends up doing the most harm. That's a tool Gaethje has. He's not just a brawler swinging wildly, he knows how to make a fight miserable in ways that go well beyond simple power. But here's the other side of it. Ilia took that shot, and the fight kept going. Whatever shape his eye was in, he didn't crumble under the pressure. That matters. It reflects a mental resilience that doesn't just evaporate because of one rough round. If anything, pushing through what may have been a compromised state while competing at the top level of a division loaded with elite strikers says a lot about what kind of competitor he really is. What Aleksandre's comments do is push the conversation from rumor territory into legitimate concern. Before someone from inside the camp speaks up, people can brush off talk of a fighter's condition as unconfirmed chatter. But once an insider verifies that there's something real going on, the entire story shifts. The UFC will be forced to respond in some way. Medical assessments, timelines, official statements, all of it becomes part of the unfolding story, and every serious contender in the lightweight division will be watching closely, trying to figure out what kind of opening this might create. The division certainly won't sit still. Fighters like Arman Tsarukyan, who has been outspoken about wanting his opportunity, along with others who believe they've earned a spot in the title picture, won't stay silent while uncertainty looms over the championship. The pressure on the UFC to bring clarity will keep building, and eventually that pressure shifts onto Ilia and his team to be upfront about where things truly stand. Aleksandre's choice to speak out publicly suggests his camp is trying to get ahead of this narrative rather than simply respond to it after the fact. That's genuinely a smart move. In the current MMA media climate, going quiet on an injury doesn't shield a fighter, it only fuels speculation, and speculation is almost always harsher than reality. By speaking up, Aleksandre is trying to take control of the story, shaping it on his own terms instead of letting sensational reporting fill the silence. The bigger question now is whether this injury has any lasting impact beyond the immediate moment. If Ilia heals completely and comes back looking like his usual self, this turns into just one chapter in a much larger story rather than a turning point. Champions deal with adversity. The ones who go on to become legends are typically the ones who absorb it and return even stronger. If Ilia gets back in the cage and performs the way he did against Volkanovski, this whole conversation about Gaethje's punch fades into a minor footnote. But if the healing process drags on longer or turns out messier than the camp is currently anticipating, the lightweight division heads into a truly unpredictable stretch. Title bouts get pushed back. Contenders start losing patience. Momentum shifts in ways that become hard to claw back. Ilia has built a fan base and platform bigger than what most champions manage during their first title reign, and sustaining that kind of platform depends on staying active. A long layoff shifts the whole equation. Even for someone with his talent and mainstream appeal, the combat sports world is locked in on this because it's not just a story about health. It's a story about his career. It's a story about the entire division. And for the Topuria family, who built all of this side by side, who sacrificed together, and who fought their way into a position that so few families in combat sports ever reach, this is deeply personal territory. So here's what we want to know from you. After everything that's come out about Ilia's eye and Aleksandre's decision to go public with it, do you think Ilia Topuria returns from this fully intact and keeps his reign as one of the most well-rounded champions in the lightweight division right now? Or do you think this injury opens a genuine door for another fighter to step into that title conversation and flip everything upside down? Leave your thoughts in the comments, because this story is far from over. And if you want to keep up with every twist in this saga, along with every major moment happening across MMA and the UFC, be sure to subscribe. Situations like this move quickly, and you won't want to miss what unfolds next.